What's up, y'all? How we doing? Y'all ready to go on another journey tonight? I'm hoping I'm not interfering with other people's lives. But tonight I wanted to talk about mental health. And I wanted to specifically focus on, my mental health journey, in the hopes that it could possibly help other people. I've never been the one to shy away from being publicly vulnerable. So if anything I talk about tonight can help at least just one person, then it'll be more than worth it. What's up, Sid? Good to see you. I'm going to talk about some things tonight, and I am going to reveal some things that I've never revealed to anyone. So if my family's watching, I guess I can apologize in advance. But I don't think it's anything for me to be sorry about. So I wanted to talk about mental health, and one of the reasons why it was coming up, was because, I started, seeing some things. I started seeing some comments that were, questioning me, questioning, my behavior. And I've been seeing things about, me being volatile, me being, me being weird, me being autistic. I saw that. But one of the things that hurt me probably the most was, someone that was pretty prominent, mentioned the fact that they wouldn't have felt safe around me, like physically safe. And that one really, really bothered me. Also, for a long time, I've always wanted to talk about, the mental health aspect of life, because I feel like mental health matters. What's up, Confessions? I feel like mental health matters. And I always wanted to, kind of show that it doesn't make you weak to talk about things that have affected you. Right? So I want to talk about it. And as I was thinking about all the things, I thought about, where it all started. For me, I realized that even though you may not be able to describe it, like your anxiety starts as a kid, right? There are things that you're going to experience in life as a child that's going to bring you anxiety. What's up, Court? And I realized that my anxiety was there all along, almost every single day of my life. To be clear, we weren't abused as kids. Yeah, we got our asses whooped. But, my parents always made it clear that we knew why we was getting beaten. So nothing was misunderstood. My parents, they were married for 20 years. They never really even argued in front of us. So there was no domestic violence, no nothing. If there was an argument, they would either wait till we were asleep, or they would, they would get in the car and they would go and leave. But as a kid, I realized that, thinking back on it, I would say from the 4th grade to high school, I was the only black kid in my class. So I did not have a black classmate until high school, from 4th grade to high school. So we moved from a little town called Marathon, Florida. There's a lot of minorities there. And then, we moved to Massachusetts. And then when we got to Massachusetts in the 4th grade, we lived in a lot of the different inner cities, from Jamaica Plain, Dorchester, but my parents always wanted to get us away from that. And although that can be a good thing, it also can take a toll on a child. So in the class, especially because I was in some of the smarter classes, it was really a small group of us, maybe 12, 14 of us, maybe. So keeping to myself was something that I really, really felt comfortable about, because there was really not many people to interact with socially. The anxiety also came because, the neighborhoods that we lived in, they would have race riots pretty much every day. They would have Royal Rumbles every day they would set it up by weight class, and there would be 5 to 6 fights every morning. It just so happens that a lot of the times it was the Cambodian kids that they would fight. Me and I had another friend, Taheen, we were always outnumbered, so we pretty much kept quiet, but we always realized that one day, it could be us. So that's kind of where the anxiety starts, from a child. And I'm seeing how that is laying the foundation for, my social interaction. Fast forward to high school, things were, a little bit different, not crazy different, because I think it was maybe 40, 50 of us total. My senior year was only 6 or 7 black kids, my senior year that graduated. And that means something, right? You want to have those interactions with your people. So it really didn't start until, I joined the military that I got to see the world. I got to see a wide range of people. I got to kind of break out of my shell, and it felt really good to, to kind of get out there a little bit. I remember going to basic training. I remember them talking about going to war with Korea. This was 1995. So that was one of the things that was on my mind. No, not 95, 96. So going to war was one of the things that was, on my mind. And I remember the drill instructor saying about 70% of y'all is going to end up in Korea. And in my mind, I'm thinking, that's where all the war is, because that's all they were talking about at the time. So now I'm starting to get frustrated because I'm knowing that is a possibility. Going to find out after basic training, after AIT, after my first duty station, I do get orders for Korea. So now I'm thinking like I'm going to war. It just so happens that Korea ended up being the best time of my life. Maybe I'll talk about Korea in another live. It ended up being the best time of my life. Made some really, really good friends there. Still friends to this day, almost 30 years later. Fast forward, my first 4 years of active duty are over. I have to do 4 more years of reserve time. As a reservist, they would always make jokes about us getting deployed. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm a reservist. We're not going to get deployed. It just so happens that my reserve unit was what's called an IOC. It's an Information Operations Center. So they didn't even issue us weapons. They issued us a laptop, some software, and pretty much said, go learn how to watch yourself, hack yourself. And the unit's mission was to be, it's called the RCERT-SWA, the Regional Computer Emergency Response Team for Southwest Asia. So what that means is that we are pretty much in charge of all of the network intrusions for all of the Army units in all of Iraq. But there was 6 IOCs, so we were always going on a rotation. I was Army, so we were always going on a rotation. And prior to the rotation, we would get a whole lot of pre-deployment training. So we ended up getting all of these very, very valuable skills. So now my first deployment, I believe, was 2003. I gotta say it was pretty tame. I believe it was in Kuwait. And when we first got there, they took our weapons away and put our weapons in they put our weapons in, not the safe, in like a vault, right? So I'm there without a weapon, and I'm almost kind of pissed because I feel like I'm wasting my time because I'm deployed, I'm away from family, but it feels like you're not really deployed, right? Nothing really happens there. Month 6 or 7 of that first deployment, I got forward deployed to Iraq, Camp Victory. I started reading up on Camp Victory, and it's pretty much, It's pretty much an ignorant name, right? But, we do that sometimes. So Camp Victory is in Baghdad. It was Saddam's capital city, capital home. It was pretty much Saddam's mansion. Not only did we go in there, take it over, like we literally named the place Camp Victory. So imagine someone else storming your country, taking the White House, and then calling the White House Camp Victory. So when we were there, they would have these tents, right, that we would live in. They call them chews. So these chews are basically 2-person, 3-person trailers. And these trailers would have, a 3 to 4 foot blast wall. And the blast wall pretty much means that if you get hit with a rocket, if you get hit with a mortar, that it's not going to spread, right? It's only going to hit your trailer, hopefully. And, it'll just be you that gets the damage. So seeing that and experiencing that was like my first thought at the fact that I could possibly die out here. So I'm thinking about the possibility of dying every single day that I'm there, because you never know what's going to happen. You're sleeping at night, you're hearing mortars every now and then. You're hearing, the helicopters, pull security every now and then. And then you're even hearing like outbound, it was the outbound firing from tanks that are pretty much on post. And I don't know if you've ever heard what a tank sounds like, but it's loud. Even when it's miles and miles away, it's loud. And half the time you don't know if it's enemy fire or friendly fire. And I got a very, very funny story. So I'm going to try to chuckle it up a little bit before we get really serious. I got a really, really funny story. We would always want to switch back from living in the tents to living in the chews, just depending on, where the enemy fire is coming from. So every morning we have the ability to see where on post, we were getting attacked, right? Where are the rockets landing? Where are the mortars landing? And then you would try to manipulate your way to where you're going to live or where you're going to sleep. Some people were so scared that they didn't even go back home. They would just sleep like in the building that we worked in, depending on like if we were under fire a lot that week. And there were times where there would be, rockets that land, by the chow hall, and you could see them aiming for the chow hall, and you're like, all right, I ain't going to the chow hall no more. If I do, I'm gonna just go get some food and I'm gonna leave. And where I worked there was, it's called the mini job. So every day, or just about every day, the commander of Iraq, General Casey, I would see him almost every day. And I would see this man get briefed on everything from, the weather to, can't say it all, but just about everything. So every day I had to hear this portion of the brief where they tell General Casey things like 30 killed, 120 wounded, right? Every time he's in there, we know that we're going to get those numbers. And the whole time I'm thinking, like, I could be any one of those people any day now, right? And there were times where it was just really, really bad when it came to the mortar attacks and to the rocket attacks. And if you ever heard the sound of a rocket, like it's really, really, really distinct, like zzz, and then it's a noise and then it's going to land somewhere. Hopefully not on you. And then on top of that, you'll hear the sirens go off. Incoming, 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 incoming. And that happens any time of the night, in the middle of your sleep, at work, at the bazaar, if you go to eat, in the chow hall. It don't matter. The people don't care. They just know that there's a big giant wall surrounding the post, and everything on the other side of that wall is American troops. So the only thing you got to do is aim for the wall and then listen to the news the next day. And if they say they got the chow hall, then they're just going to aim for the same spot the next time. And even our defense system that is created to shoot down the rockets and shoot down the mortars, that shit is loud too. There's a lot of video of that on YouTube. So my deployment wasn't about kicking down doors. It wasn't about like leaving post. I was armed, had my weapon rounds on me both times. But there was a threat of being kidnapped. So you're thinking about, what am I going to do if I get kidnapped? What am I going to do if they storm the walls? What am I going to do when I run out of these 13 shots? Or what am I going to do when I run out of this 30-round magazine? Am I going to be quick enough, to successfully load my second 30-round magazine? So you're thinking about those things, and that was my first deployment. I was supposed to chuckle it up. So me and my friend Nick the Quick. So we're walking home one day because we were roommates in the same chew. It's pitch black because we got to practice light discipline. Like, you're not even supposed to have a cigarette out there. And where we are, right, instead of sand, it's just a bunch of these little rocks, so you can hear it when people walk. So, we're walking home, it's pitch black. I look up and I see this little flash of light, almost like a comet almost. And I kind of point up and I'm like, oh shit. And Nick starts running. I'm telling you, this dude ran for 6 straight seconds. Remember, I told you it's the rock, so you can hear this dude running. 6 seconds later, the running stops and we realize that it was just a shooting star. And I remember laughing. I was like, bruh, you ran for like 7 straight seconds, but when you stopped, you're still standing right next to me. And just to see, like, the fact that he just didn't even know where to go. The only thing he knew was just to take off, right? But he was still standing there next to me. And I just remember that shit was the funniest shit. Because he didn't go nowhere. So that was the first one. The second deployment was a lot worse, I got to admit. There were times where I was content with never going home. I would sit in my chew. I remember buying noise-canceling headphones because I was tired of hearing the rockets. I was tired of hearing the incoming. And I remember saying that if it happens, at least I wouldn't hear it, and it would be quick. I also remembering like the worst day was actually Christmas. And it's already bad that you're not home on Christmas. It's already bad that you're still using plastic forks and shit for Thanksgiving. But Christmas was one of our worst days that we were getting mortared and shit. And I remember putting the headphones on and just being frustrated with it all. Like, just bring it, But it didn't happen. Almost every day you would see where, the rocket attacks would hit, where the mortar attacks would hit, and then shits was getting closer and closer and closer. So my second deployment was also a little different because we had an additional mission. And that mission was we were to go to every single post in Iraq and do like a network security assessment. So it was me and another dude, Conrad. And I remember every other Friday loading up to go on this Chinook, or loading up to go on this Black Hawk, and we're overlooking all these different cities in Iraq. And these are things I couldn't tell my mom about. And I just remember, again, I'm thinking about any moment now we're about to get fired on, because when you're on the Black Hawk, you feel like you're really, really low. You feel like, you look out the window, the people are, they're right there. You know what I mean? And there were times where, we had to refuel. And when you refuel, you got to get out of the Black Hawk or the Chinook. They refuel, but the highway, the road is it's literally right there. So it's almost like you're a sitting duck. If anyone wants to shoot at you, they would just shoot at you. And I remember feeling like the refueling was just taking weeks and weeks and weeks. So every 2 weeks, we're at a new post and we're doing our jobs. But this time, we're in these tiny rooms, and all the other places we would go weren't as, it wasn't Camp Victory, so they weren't as safe and secure as Camp Victory was. So it was really like a smaller base, a smaller post. So it was pretty much us in a bunker, and if anything was to happen, we would either hide in those bunkers or we would do what we can to shoot back, with the minimal amount of rounds that we had. And, there are times where you just sit there and you hear people's stories. We've had soldiers, walk in the room, and they would put their boat. I remember a soldier walking in the room in the office, and he just put his boat on the table and kind of just sat back. And everyone knows that, you need the bolt for your rifle in order for it to shoot. So we were like, oh, he's clearly trying to tell us something. I never got there. Never considered, killing myself. Although there are times where you consider if you had to. So those are very, very, very difficult times. So we come back home, and there's really no transition at all. Pretty much the only transition we had was the day and a half that we had to wait on post to do a convoy, load our luggage, because it takes 3 days almost to get home. And then once you're home, everyone's like, hey, welcome home. And I'm like, yeah, I'm home. But you don't tell them the stories of, hiding under the table because you're waiting for a mortar to drop on you, right? Or you're waiting for something to happen, right? You kind of overlook that. And also there's this thing in the military where there's this competition for how difficult your deployment was. And just by mentioning a place like Camp Victory or Doha, there would be a lot of people that would discredit, my deployment experience. I was not realizing how it was affecting me and my family. And I would make excuses for not doing things in public, not going out with my family, not traveling, not taking my daughter anywhere. And I would say things like, no, I don't want to share her, with everyone else, right? I just want her all to myself. And I was lying to myself. Because I was really afraid of what could happen out there. And I almost felt like I was protecting her, and I was protecting myself, because there were things that would be out of my control, like crowds, and movement. And I knew that if there was anything that went wrong or anything that went left, I would feel like I can't leave any space for this person to come back and possibly hurt me or possibly hurt my daughter or figure out where anyone in my family lives. So conflict for me meant one of us gotta die, or else it's never gonna end. Because people aren't gonna fight and take an ass whooping and be like, thanks for whipping my ass and we good, you know? It's never gonna end. So they're gonna be unhappy, or their boys are gonna be unhappy, or their family is gonna be unhappy, and it never ends. So I try to avoid it at all costs. Then comes the time to where, it's time to kind of out process, get my VA paperwork. And when you're out processing and you go through the VA, they send you to a lot of different things. There's medical, dental, and I'm about to get emotional again. And there's the mental. And I remember talking to the mental psych guy. And he says, so, how are you? And I lost it. Because nobody ever asked me that. And I was holding it for so long. Then I finally let loose. And I was like, I can't believe I'm in here crying. And he says to me, you've been able to see behind the curtain. Not many people have seen that. So try to hang around with other people who have been behind the curtain. Also, you have considered death almost every single day. And people here really take that for granted, to the fact that they don't think about it at all. And I was like, yeah. And he says, you went in as one person. You came out as another person. And therefore, the military should compensate you for that. And it may never, ever be enough to make you back whole, or make you back to the way that you were before you got here. And it was just pretty much quick, just like that. And I'm still not necessarily in denial, because now I have this rating, 70%, PTSD, among other injuries. Still never really kind of took ownership of that. And I realized that it was still affecting relationships, still not wanting to go out, still, feeling myself being avoidant of an argument, and then kind of having this outburst when I can't take it anymore, right? And it was to a point to where I'm aware, and I know that I'm getting angry and I'm trying to walk away, but when they don't let me walk away, then things get bad. I've never been physical. I've never I've never put my hands on anyone. But you may find a hole in a wall or two. probably 3 holes to be exact. And I know my sister knows of one of them. And then that's when I realized that I needed help. I just remember waking up one morning, looking at the holes. It was like, this ain't me. I got to get some help. And I took ownership of it all and realized that, the shit has affected me. And it's not something that makes you soft. Yeah, I did try to patch it up. It's not something that makes you soft, right? It's just something that I feel everyone should talk about. I feel like it can be normal to talk about your experiences and how your experiences affect you. And it like really, 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 really got to me. So I'm at a point to where I'm good. I'm great. I feel like I'm doing really, really good. And then fucking COVID comes back. COVID comes back and I'm thinking about death every single day again. And it got so bad that I was hospitalized twice. Started feeling this tingling shit in my chest for the first time. Thought I was having a heart attack. Funny story, actually. I actually called my sister in the bathroom. I took my shirt off and I said, Leisha, look at my chest. I got something growing inside of my chest. It feels like an alien. And she looks at me and she's like, Ty, go see a doctor. And I went back again and I started looking at ways to get over that. And I started thinking about creature comforts, just the little things that are in your home that will put you in a better mental state. And then I started reading about Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. Started reading that book. I had a freaking arrow garden because I started growing vegetables, so it would make me focus on, growth in life and things that I'm creating. I started walking 5 miles every day, so you may have seen me throw up the 5. You may have seen me compete with myself and do 5 miles every day for 30 straight days. And I realized for those 2 hours that I'm walking, I'm focused on the walk and not focused on anything else. I bought a weighted blanket. I bought a big ass TV. The plant, you're right. We should started planting stuff. I grew lettuce. Her name is Latasha, believe it or not. So I'm good. I'm great. I started researching things like mental strength. You'll also see that in some of my lives, I'm doing these mental challenges. I'm doing these cold water challenges. Anything that's going to strengthen my mental. And then I got a message. It was a DM on April Fool's Day about the show. And I was like, yeah, bump it. I'll do it. But what everyone was seeing was it's just me finally getting over everything. And I believe what you're seeing is all of that anxiousness, all of me getting over those traumas, all of me getting over a lot of the things that negatively affected me in life came out, on screen. And I was trying my best to, to handle myself in a way that, my friends and family would respect me afterwards. But I do have to admit something. If you followed me, you may have seen it. But I did have an anxiety attack after the first ladies' deliberation. Because I don't know what's going on in the ladies' deliberation. So your brain starts to wander. And I'm home thinking that I finally made it past all of this shit. And there's a bunch of people who were strangers a week ago are now in a room passing around my traumas like marbles, right? This is what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking that because, I was never afraid to be totally open with everyone. So there are some clips that you see, like I'm totally divulging everything, like right off the rip. Because I'm like, this is me. You're going to need to know me. You're going to need to love me. All of me, right? I don't want to just give you the good shit. I want to let you know that I have experienced shit in life. But I'm past that. I'm good. But every now and then, it may come back. So yeah, I had an anxiety attack. I'll admit that. So I got past that, and I'm thinking things are good, but we still got to think about this COVID. I also feel like, for some reason, I want to say, during the show, there was like the election, there was the Black Lives Matter movement. And all of it was like happening in a backyard here in DC. And me, with, my mind wandering, I always felt like we were going to have a race war. That was one of the things I always felt. The thing about war is the people who always ask for war have never been in war, never experienced war. Because if you experienced it, it's the last thing you ever want to go through again. But I tell you, when I saw the president walk out, I felt like that was the sign that we were going to have this race war. And I was like, that's it. And I feel like my anxiety was like at its highest at that point. And then there's a show of force here, right? There's another show of force, black people dressed in all black, carrying M16s, marching through the streets, show of force. And then there's another show of force where they storm the Capitol. And I'm like, this is it. Let's get it, right? This is it. I still don't think things are where they should be. I still feel like folks are just planning for the next show of force. I feel like that's normal. But yeah, all of that got me to where I am now. So you may still randomly see me do these journeys where I'm just doing things I always wanted to do because I know it's going to make me feel good mentally and emotionally. And even the fact that there are things that I want to do that I haven't done gives me the anxiety. So to get over the anxiety, I just do that shit. I may wake up randomly on a Saturday morning. If I ain't doing shit this weekend, if I ain't hearing from nobody, there ain't nothing stopping me from opening up an app, finding a flight, and leaving, right? No problem. I know my sister hates that, but it's cool. All right. I'm here. I feel like God didn't put me here to fail, right? I also feel like if you weren't strong enough, then God wouldn't have had you go through it. So those are some of the things that I kind of focus on whenever I'm feeling down, whenever I'm feeling like, it's not a good day. Whenever, and then now, whenever I'm looking at comments, and people are like judging me based off of what they seen on screen, I just kind of chuckle. Now I'm like, they obviously didn't take the time to know me, so I take solace in the fact that I do that. Admittedly, there were times where, your mind wanders and you start to think, no, maybe you not starting to think, but I started to think like, and I was questioning reality. Like, God damn, like, am I autistic and I don't know it? And believe it or not, like, I literally asked my sister that. I was like, am I living in this world where, I don't know what's reality and everyone's just looking at me and laughing at me and protecting me? I think about that sometimes. But yeah, you had to get over that. And I feel like, my vulnerability and my ability to be vulnerable can allow me to, to help other people and be an advocate, for people who may want to talk about it, but may not be able to get over that hump to actually get through it. If that is the case for anyone, I'm here, I'll always be here. I feel like I'll probably start dedicating some of my lives to mental health. Maybe I'll focus on, some of the things that I did to move forward and get better, other than the creature comforts and, shit like that. Whew. All right. Sip. Now we can take some questions for a little bit. It's really, really great having my peoples here, having my sister here. I think I saw Rob. Also, my daughter's godfather. What up? The fam, the RTL fam. Thank y'all for coming through. Good question. Am I currently seeing a counselor? What's weird about that? And you may think that I'm kind of stubborn, and I am sometimes. I wanted to see if I could figure it out on my own. I'm not opposed to a counselor. I feel like a counselor would be great, and I feel like a counselor would be great, and the fact that a counselor could help me continue to build on things that I've were able to do for myself. Yeah. Another question: do I regret opening up to the women on the show? No, not at all. No regrets. How long was I gone the second time? The second deployment was actually more time. So the first deployment, we were at one place, and then I got forward deployed to Iraq 6 months later. The second deployment, I got forward deployed right away. So I literally spent almost 9-10 months in Iraq. Am I okay? Yeah, I'm great. I mean, you know what? I take that back. I guess the best way to say it is, I'm not perfect. But I'm not, I'm not 100%, but I'm not bad. I'm not doing bad. No, I'm not going to hurt anyone, or no one should feel threatened around me. I don't even remember my last fight, actually. No, I'm lying. Do I have a support group? Yes, I got a lot of friends and family, and I feel like you all now. So I feel like my support group is just whoever I'm around now, because I'm just not afraid to talk about it. If I feel like it needs to come out, then I'll just say it. Does the military offer inside support for the family of the people returning from deployments? Yeah, they do. They do. I just don't feel like it's enough time. Do you know what I mean? I think the returning veterans need to go to a place or an area, or they need to just create this city that is just for them, that can help them with their transition into life. Right? They give you all these things, and they talk about these things on how you should act coming home and how to treat the kids when you're coming home. And I got a really good, heartwarming story. So knowing that, I never knew how my daughter was going to react to me coming back. And it scared the hell out of me. So what I did was, and I believe there's a picture of it. So what I did was, I walked in the house. I don't even think I remember looking at her. And I just kind of put my head down and my hand over my face. And 15 seconds later, she was up under me. And I was like, okay, we good. But they tell you, not to expect your kids to be the same, because they literally just moved on without you for, months. Did being on the show cause a lot of triggers? I would say subconsciously. That very first day, that mansion day, wasn't an easy day. Another cute story about the mansion is that actually Carrie caught me pacing. I was just standing there at the mansion, looking at everyone, and I was just kind of like, I think I was either rocking back and forth or something, because I was just kind of like planning the next person to talk to, but everybody was kind of like coupled up. So I was just kind of standing there, and I didn't want to pull a Dante and just interrupt. So I was kind of like patiently waiting my turn, and, Carrie came up and asked me if I was good. And that was one of the things that I really appreciated about her. Oh, Dante. Oh, man. Yes, Carrie is dope. Would I date anyone outside the show? I had a really good conversation with Libba about that. And no, I just feel like at this point, it probably would be best not to. We're all great friends, family, and I feel like it would probably best to keep it that way. Although I do mess with them and flirt with them. Right, Libba? Yeah, we're all good now. It's really a cool thing to see. And another thing about that is, you may have heard that in my story, like family is really important to me. I grew up, with my younger brother and sister, but I knew that my biological father could have had other kids. And I finally was able to meet them 3 or 4 summers ago. So knowing that there was a whole nother, world, a whole nother family out there, took an effect on me as well. So having, these new brothers and sisters that I have is like, it's like everything to me. So it's almost to a point to where if they need something, or if they want to see us, or if they want, if they say pull up, like I can't say no. because it really means something to me. Has Courtney's sister responded to your question? We chatted today. Day 9. No, I'm just joking. That was a jab, but I'm just joking. Question about Shiloh. What was it about Shiloh that made her wife material? As you can see, there was a lot of things that were going on with me and with Shiloh. She has this way of making you feel like, you're being heard. Like she can empathize with who you are and what you've been going through, as opposed to someone just listening, right? I think there's a difference between someone listening to you and someone hearing you. I feel like, her background made it a lot easier, for me to open up and be more vulnerable. She does have a calming, inviting spirit. And maybe subconsciously knowing that, I have that outlet for the foreseeable future put me in a good place. What makes me ready to love? So, it's a good question. So the whole experience not only had me realize what love is, but I also realized what love isn't. I've always felt like I've been ready to love. I'm able to give love a lot. I was just subconsciously afraid of pulling the trigger on forever. And being in love and loving someone, one, doesn't necessarily mean that you need to love them or doesn't necessarily mean you need to be with them forever, right? How do I receive love? That's a good question. Oh, am I ready to receive love? Yes. There's a really good story about, it's in one of my pictures, about the receiving love, because I wasn't ready to receive love, because I didn't believe that I was deserving of love, because my biological father wasn't there, and he was not present at all. But in one of my earlier pictures, I actually got my biological father and the guy that pretty much raised me my entire life. He's been there since I was 2. I actually got them together. And it was like a really, really, really amazing moment for me, because I feel like I was crushed, like I'm crushing it, right? I'm crushing it with life, my parents, my family. I got them together, and I think I mentioned in the picture that I cried, my last cry for him. So yeah, it was very therapeutic. I want to make sure I did not miss anything. Does my mental health interfere or make dating hard? In all honesty, I used to overthink everything. I probably still do overthink everything, to a point to where, I would rarely hold hands in public because I would think people are looking at me. Rarely do PDA in public because I would think people are looking at me or going to judge me or whatever. But my last night's counselor, was it last night? Liberal is like, fuck them. Why do you even care? Have I ever considered writing a book? Yeah, I have considered writing a book. Um, and I'll let y'all know when the book is coming out. Um, I'm still waiting on one thing, and I'm getting there. Um, but the title of the book will be #selfmade. Maybe Tyler Perry can play me in a movie. Oh man, let's go for maybe 4 more minutes, and then we'll shut it down. Yeah, I get that. I started to get that a lot. That I look like Tyler Perry. Um, would I recommend the military to our youth? Um, I honestly would say I would try to get an understanding of where they are. If you are troubled, if you are in need of some discipline, if you are in need of new experiences, getting out of your hometown, gaining skills, being able to deal with people, understanding what leadership and integrity and all that stuff is. If you lack that, then yes, definitely join the military. The military's changed my life for the better. But if you have a special talent, or if you are considering becoming an entrepreneur, and you're not troubled, then you don't you don't really need the military. I recommended it to my nephew because he was just kind of like undecided about life. You ask kids, as a junior or senior in high school, what they want to do, what they want to be, and they have no idea. That's normal. But when you have a kid that says, I'm going to take a year off before I join college, then you're like, no, you probably should go to the military. My birthday celebration. How was my birthday celebration? I spent my birthday in an airport, so I'm on travel right now. I posted some pictures today. A few people figured it out. Few people didn't. What's next on my bucket list? There's a couple things. I think I want to. It's called Getaway, and what it is, it's pretty much a mini room or a mini house in the woods, and one of the walls is just a glass. It's just a big giant sheet of glass, and I just want to probably go there one weekend. No phone, no nothing, and just enjoy that peace. I had another idea of maybe renting a camper with friends, and but it would be a camper with Wi-Fi. So if you work remote, you can still be able to get some work done while we're driving. All right, it's 9. I'm gonna drop off. I mean, it's 9 for me, 11 for y'all. I'll drop off. I'll just do a quick hour. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for the support, and I'm anxious to see where it goes. Remember, God didn't put you here to fail. Mental health is important. It's okay to not be okay. All right? Love you all too. And Talk to y'all soon.